Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Energy Evolution Experience. I am so grateful today to present to you my dear sister in the medicine, my dear friend and colleague. I'm going to say, like, she's the third post to my table. You know, she's helped me foundationally with so much in my life and this business. Pritam Tara, you are a fantastic, phenomenal soul with an amazing story. And what I can share with you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in working in the microdosing sector, this is the woman to talk to. She is one of the most educated and informed people in this topic, and how that relates to your self-care, your evolution, and the upliftment of your energy and optimization in all different areas of your life. And so without further ado, my dear sister, PT, as we like to call her for short, how are you? Tell us about you.
I'm amazing. Yeah, it's so great to be here with you. And we get to co-create in a lot of different ways in life. And I'm just excited to share with everyone some more about microdosing, weaving that together with other self-care practices and just a lot of the things that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about the style of microdosing that you do, or when a client comes to you and is like, I have anxiety, I have lack of focus, like all of the depleted or the, what do you want to call it, the challenges that they're facing, and why microdosing would support that. And then the next steps on that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So microdosing is such a versatile toolkit. And I like to approach it from the aspect of intentional microdosing in a really adaptive way. So it looks different for everyone that comes into the container where they start. So it all starts with your why. Like, why are you being called to work with sacred medicine in this way? What are you looking to get out of it? What's your starting point and where are you looking to go? And once we establish that, then we can really get into the nuance of what that looks like for you. And there are so many benefits that are possible working with medicine in a very small amount consistently over a period of time. And starting with microdosing, it's really important that you give yourself anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks for your initial protocol to work with it consistency, build a relationship with the medicine, and do a lot of experimentation to find your sweet spot, and then start to steer that and calibrate that in a way that is really supportive for you.
And, I'll say that, and I don't want to scare anybody off. And I agree, 4 to 6 weeks is also that's minimal, at least for me. And it depends on what you're working with. I was supported with microdosing for about 1.5 years, and it truly saved my life. It settled me down. I was able to have clarity, hold space for clients, continuing to do all my everyday things, which was, I was a family person, driving the kids to school, picking them up, making sure they were fed, and then also running a company, and then going through the process of divorce and COVID and selling a house, and all of those culminations created so much stress and so much pressure. And what I found to be true for myself, microdosing actually settled my system, and it gave me the tools back that I already had inside me. It just sort of wiped the stress and the pressures clean. And not to say that it's some magic pill, because it's not, but it gave me an opportunity to then cultivate the practices that I was already utilizing around positive mindset and things. And I feel as if my neuroreceptors in my brain were actually firing and rewiring faster and easier. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. And you were rewiring new neural pathways with the assistance of the medicine. And it's self-directed neuroplasticity. So it's important that you're the one that's having that intention and intentionally adding in and layering in other supportive tools and practices that are uplifting you and that are helping you better regulate your nervous system and feed yourself better and journal and bring more awareness to the things that are happening in your life that are causing that stress below the surface, right? So it's really getting to bring that more to the surface so that it can be worked with in a helpful way.
And that's why we love microdosing alongside the energy evolution experience, because you have an integrative specialist such as yourself who helps to cultivate the practices alongside also mentoring in this opportunity for you're creating neuroplasticity, new neural pathways, and also utilizing a different modality, which is earth-based and natural, to cultivate a higher well-being, right? And so will you share with us a story that just comes out in your mind, a testimonial, a client, or somebody, that experienced and worked with this tool and had like a really huge breakthrough, just so that people can hear the other ways that you can use this?
Yeah, one client that really stands out, just as you asked that question, and I'm not going to say their name, but it was a man that I worked with who was really stuck in a place of isolation and just looping in the story in their head, and really stuck in a place that they were having a hard time breaking out of. And they had the awareness of it, right, which was square one, which is why they were called to work with microdosing. So working with the medicine and creating the changed neurochemistry so that they had more energy, they had more presence, and they were able to actually put themselves out there in the world in ways that they wouldn't before. So they felt more comfortable in their own skin. They were less in their head and more present. And it was through getting out of these stuck loops and putting themselves in these different circumstances, they started to gain the confidence that they could actually change. 3 months later, they had started a new relationship. They were in the process of like starting to apply for new jobs and just really transform their entire life, because they were able to break out of the prison that they were in before. And that was just the start, right? And from there, then it just has so many downstream effects and has this multiplier effect in so many areas of life. And, I can say the same thing for my own use with microdosing, is why I am a mentor for this now, because it had made such a transformation in my own work, in my own integration work. And during that time when I started microdosing, I had been doing a lot of work with larger doses of sacred medicine. And this was leading up to the time of COVID. And when COVID happened, I didn't have that community. I didn't have that, the opportunities to go and sit with medicine. But I wanted to continue to work with myself in a deep way. And within a couple of weeks, my baseline just lifted. I had such this space between my thoughts and my actions, and this openness to connect with people and to kind of get out of my own way of lone wolfing, even when COVID was happening and we were more in an isolated way. And I gained some of the closest relationships that I have now in my life because I took those initial steps to reach out. And my microdosing practice has evolved and changed and taken many shapes and forms over the past 8 years. And it's still something that I work with, and there's different ways that you can work with it, different medicines that you can work with, different doses. It really is this beautiful, beautiful toolkit that is something that you can have and work with throughout your life.
Well, and that's what I love about you too, is you're so multifaceted in multiple different plants, and you truly are a botanist in that way. So because you've actually experimented and you've taken the time and you've stepped into those places and you've worked with these different plants to understand their outcome, right? Because like when someone has a broken heart or is getting over a relationship, it might be a little bit different than someone who needs focus or is getting over anxiety or whatever the case may be. And sometimes it's an integration of a couple different plants, and you're really the person who is, not to like, oh, she's the microdosing queen, but she is, in my mind. I mean, this is the person who I go to ask all the questions around this specific topic. And I just want to say, it comes to mind for me too, is another gentleman who we shared as a client who I had worked with energetically, and PT had worked with microdosing. And the microdosing is really what actually catapulted him out of the anxiety. He was a very high level professional, married, and in his marriage, his wife was like, I don't want to be with him anymore. I'm really over his ways of being and this isolation that he was putting himself in, and the anxiety and the programs that he was running in his mind. And it was actually, as a consultant for major global companies, it was actually becoming a detriment to his financial resources. What was interesting is on the back end, and so this is the thing that, we don't often talk about, but one of the things that we do in Energy Evolution Experience is we actually measure this with something called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment, which shows you what's in the gap and your optimum performance, and you get to see the levels of energy that you're vibrating at the end of this experience. And with microdosing, with this gentleman specifically, he 3 times his income, and the contracts were coming his way. And it's been kind of amazing, because one of the things that he wanted to do with his wife was travel the world, and now they're like on vacations all the time, and he's working from all different kinds of amazing places, and she doesn't have to work. So how wonderful is that? So that's just somebody who comes to mind. I wanted to speak that out. And PT, finally, is there anything else that you want to share about why microdosing is so supportive alongside the mentoring program, and also just for people who are looking to dabble in something different in terms of heart opening and focusing and growing their spiritual experiential level? Is there anything else that you feel called to share with people who might want to work with you?
Yeah, I just, a couple of things. So one, it is really amazing how such a small amount of medicine can have such a big impact. And the shifts are subtle yet profound, and to be integrated into your day-to-day life, and to really get to what an opportunity. It's such an opportunity and such a gift to be able to have this huge impact on our areas of life, and not just for yourself, but for all of those that you are surrounded with, your coworkers, your partners, your kids. I have a lot of people that I work with that have families and that are running companies and that are doing really big things in the world, and they're having the work that they're doing is having such a ripple effect out into the world, which is so important. And the other thing is just, I like to think of microdosing, and I invite you to think about this as well, as a catalyst for change. And it really does bring new energy, new inspiration, new insights into your ecosystem of being that can have such a huge impact and can benefit and support all the other things that you're doing in life. And within this energy evolution experience, why it's so, such a great place to work with it, aside all these other modalities that we offer within the experience, is that it will really expedite your growth and your transformation. And when you're investing in yourself and investing in a program like this, you want to really get the most out of it. And you want to have that transformation fast, and you want that transformation to be sticky. And that is something that, we didn't get into the neurochemistry of how this works and the neuroplasticity and the default mode network, but there's real science behind why this is so powerful. And then stacked with these other modalities that are working on the bioenergetics and the spiritual and etheric bodies, all of these other modalities, it's a no-brainer for me. Why wouldn't you want to add microdosing onto all of that other work?
And, I want to just speak to this real quick, that, as a psychedelic facilitator and someone who has gone through the process of, having a certification and going through that process, there are 22 major colleges. Harvard is one of them, Stanford's another, MIT is another. People are getting, major colleges and universities are getting behind microdosing and this modality and studying it, because it is an expedited opportunity to expand our awareness and to live, enjoy, and to make our life fucking awesome. It is. And so, I just wanted to exclaim that of what you just said. That doesn't even make any sense, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, PT, I'm so excited about the work you do in the world. I am so grateful and blessed to have you in my life. And anyone who works with you will feel exactly the same. I mean, you can feel the energy coming through the camera, just the channel of your wisdom and your majesty, and it's magic. And I can't praise you enough, and I really look forward to people being blessed by your wisdom. So if you're interested in working with Pritam Tara, you can find her on Meet the Mentors and just under her name and click that link, and either schedule a call with her or get with our client success manager, and she will set you up.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. It's a privilege to collaborate with you in all the ways that I do, and just so grateful for you and what you're doing and the energy evolution that's happening in the world. It's brilliant.
Yes.
So.
Yay. All right. Thank you.